It's the most basic human instinct, the instinct to protect yourself and your loved ones. But the law and the courts don't always agree, and that often raises the question, just whose side are they on? So what rights do we, average law-abiding citizens, have? Say you take a swing at me, even worse, take a shot at me. How far can I go? Well, that depends. I could be the one who ends up in court. I could even be charged with murder. But there's a controversial new crusade stirring on behalf of the victims, a campaign for tough new laws that would make self-defense mean just that.
Once you start firing that gun, you don't stop.
How many times did you fire the gun?
Well, according to the case, they said I fired 3 times.
So you were shooting to kill?
I shoot him to kill.
These men say it was kill or be killed, but in defending themselves by killing someone else, they crossed the line. They took the law into their own hands and have paid an enormous price for doing so.
You don't do anything wrong to anybody. Treat them like human being, and someone come and threaten your life and robbing you and stabbing you. What else to do?
Most of us dread the thought of being attacked. What would you do? Run and hide or fight back? I guess until you're confronted, it's impossible to know what that split-second decision will be. If you had a gun, would you use it to protect yourself, your family, even your home? In that moment, if you did pull the trigger, would you be thinking about the consequences? So in the lead up to you shooting Patrick, how many times had you been robbed?
Before shooting, it was 6 times altogether since time I was in this shop.
So 6 times in 6.5 months?
6.5 months.
It was late afternoon,
times the
October
same day.
15, 1997, in Sydney's west.
Had you ever used a gun before?
Never.
Shopkeeper Kolya Nikolic was being robbed by the same man on the same day for the second time.
It was two robberies in 20 minutes. And I could not handle him more, and I shot him.
The thief grabbed a knife and was threatening to throw Kolya into a vat of boiling oil.
He was laughing and he called me a bastard. And I told him, I am armed. Better stay there. Use it, you are not dead. Use it, you bastard, called me again. And he said, you're gonna be cooked like you're cooking your own chips. I was scared and I showed him the gun. Use it. I will use it right now. I shot him 2 times.
He used his .357 Magnum to shoot the robber in the shoulder and the stomach.
He never gave me a chance. I wanna shot him in the legs. But he moved so many directions and I was scared and that's it, bang.
You were scared, but were you also angry? Did you want to get back at him for what he'd done to you?
Yes. Because it's not only first day, this is for 3 months he done these things to me. What is enough is enough.
If they're coming in obviously to attack you or to steal things, or they're coming in aggressively, then you can use whatever force is reasonably necessary to get them out or to get them to stop.
But what is reasonable force? Lawyer Pauline Wright says reasonable force does allow you to kill in self-defence, but you've got to convince a court the force was appropriate to the attack. Basically, would a jury respond in the same way under the same circumstances? Do you understand the community outrage where somebody in their own home is attacked and they end up being charged? Can you understand that anger?
Wherever someone is killed by someone else's actions, the police have to investigate. They must. They must ask questions, because otherwise people could just kill willy-nilly and say, oh, I did it in self-defence, when they didn't.
When you fired the gun, what were you hoping to do?
I just wanted them to go away, leave me alone.
Do you think that there's anything unfortunate about a 16-year-old ending up dead?
No, he's a victim of his own circumstances.
British farmer Tony Martin has no remorse for what he did in 1999, the night he woke to find 2 robbers in his house. So this is your castle, huh?
This is Bleak House.
It is looking pretty bleak at the moment, isn't it?
Well, so would you. Nobody's looked after the place for 5 years.
Tony Martin's neglected home is in Norfolk. In the past 5 years, he's spent very little time here, the consequence of what he did when he confronted the 2 intruders.
Thieves normally work from back of houses.
What led to you firing the gun?
Fear. Fear.
Were you under attack at that point?
I thought I was, yes. Or was about to be attacked. Because the people downstairs, as I went down the stairs, put a torch on me. You might think that's quite mild. But I can assure you, at any point, if somebody put a torch on you, it's quite alarming, to say the least.
He fired 3 shots into the torchlight. One burglar was hit in the legs, the other, a 16-year-old boy, in the back, fatally wounding him.
I'll say this without sounding callous. It wasn't unfortunate for them, it was unfortunate for me what happened, because I ended up with a murder charge.
Tony Martin was convicted of murder and received a life sentence. On appeal, his conviction was downgraded to manslaughter. He spent 4 years in jail.
The police, they treated me as I was a thug and not a decent man. I think I'm a decent man. I just basically been highlighted because I've just been caught up in the filth of other people.
In England, his conviction provoked a public outcry, and now some politicians want the laws that sent him to prison changed. If the so-called Tony Martin Bill ever gets passed by Parliament, it will give homeowners the right to use any means to protect themselves without fear of prosecution. That effectively gives people the right to kill, no questions asked. Should Tony Martin have been charged with murder?
No,
So what do you think should have happened?
he shouldn't have been charged at all.
Author and Conservative commentator Peter Hitchens says the current laws are completely out of touch. If a burglar enters your home, what can you do to protect yourself?
Well, the best thing to do is to offer him a release form to sign to say that you haven't harmed him in any way, give him a cup of tea, show him all the goods and let him go, because if you do anything else, the chances are you'll be the one who ends up in prison.
What would you like to do to them?
What I'd like to do is to be able to beat the living daylights out of them if they dare to come into my house, but I wouldn't be so foolish.
It's loaded. On safe now. Off safe.
If anyone wants the new law, it's the former High Sheriff of Kent.
Ready to shoot.
Ready to fire. Robin Baker White's impressive country estate has been in his family for generations. In 1999, he was out when thieves made off with precious heirlooms. 3 years later, in the middle of the night, thieves came again. This time Robin and his wife were at home.
And he yelled out, quick, we got to get out, he's got a gun. With that
Robin chased the thieves outside.
As they disappeared down the drive, I shot out into that tree.
He wasn't shooting to kill. But he says that didn't stop the police treating him as the villain,
End of story.
not the victim.
Their main concern seemed to be to have a look out in front of the house, amongst the shrubbery and whatever, for a dead body. And I said, you won't find a dead body out there. I said, there's no dead bodies out there. I said, the bodies that you're looking for, have escaped. They've gone. You've missed them. This is the drain pipe that they went up.
Instead of pursuing the thieves, police confiscated Robin's gun. It took the threat of legal action to get it back.
The windows are blocked up.
Frightened off by the heavy-handedness of the police, he didn't use his gun when, 6 months later, thieves turned up again. This time, he was bashed.
I believe, for what it's worth, that you should have the right to respond to that assault. Because you don't know whether they're going to shoot you. You have no idea when you're confronted with these people. I mean, this guy who smashed my face up, I don't know whether he had a gun or a knife in his hand. I mean, what were they actually going to do to us?
If you'd had a gun at that point, would you have shot him?
I might have done, having been assaulted. Yes, I think I probably would.
Collier Nikolic wants to see the laws in Australia change too. When he killed his assailant 7 years ago, he was charged with murder. For the next 2 years, his life was on hold before a jury found he'd acted in self-defense and acquitted him. Did you believe that you should have been charged?
No. No. When you see someone gonna get your life, I have to protect myself.
What is it like to shoot someone?
This is not easy, but it's not hard when you see your life in danger. The law should be changed when they go to rob someone or threat somebody's life. They know what's going to happen.
So you think shopkeepers should be armed?
Should be armed.
Well, I think that's just utterly dangerous. Because if we say that you can use whatever force you see fit to protect yourself or your property, that would just give people a licence to kill. And I think it would be a very grave mistake. Bringing in a law like that could lead to anarchy.
I'll go one further. It's lack of law and order that brings anarchy.
Well, right now, the lawmakers say you are protected. That you have...
It's rubbish.
That you have the right to use reasonable force to protect yourself.
What is reasonable force? Everybody says it. It's very much a bit more than a grey area, this thing about what is reasonable force.
And once more, that debate is in the headlines.
And I just wish it didn't happen. Wish I wake up tomorrow and it's just my life's normal again.
When Sydney's security guard Karen Brown was beaten and robbed, she shot dead her attacker. She's been charged with murder, and it's likely a jury will decide her fate.
Juries seem to get it pretty right. In circumstances where there has been real fear engendered and someone's been killed, then they'll acquit. But in circumstances where there's not real fear engendered and where the circumstances don't warrant the level of force that's been used, then they won't acquit.
But how can you make that judgment unless you've been through that situation?
I think we've all got reasonable imaginations and juries seem to be pretty good at doing it.
Would you do it again?
In the same circumstances, I'm in no doubt the same thing would happen because it's innate. It's part of your makeup.
Nobody can kill someone for nothing. It's no fun to kill people. But your life is more important than somebody else's life.
Having gone through this, what would your advice be to someone else in the position that you found yourself in? Would you say run and hide or come out fighting?
You can't tell people. As I said, the police love it when I say this. You're on your own. I mean, what would you do?
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.